baby.
James Poetry Consultant Moment. This is December, the end of the year of 2023. It is still during all the festive activities. During this time of year, people reflect, they prepare their resolutions or they contemplate them, and they may even start on them, especially when it has something to do with exercises or something of that nature. Now, with that being said, I want to share something with you, perceptive readers, that will help you going into the year of 2024. Over the years, I actually come to really realize why the grand creator, the one who had the Bible written by secretaries, if you will, uh, Jehovah God, who is the personal name of the author of the Holy Bible, why he has humans actually learn certain things or go through experiences in life. And they can be such on a unique level that you may go through something that only so many millions or even billions might even comprehend or realize it. Why? It's because of what you may focus on, what your general makeup may be. So, being a unique human, it does not mean that just because you know something that a lot of people don't know, that you're viewing yourself in some other type of elevated way, that you think you're better than them. No. What it will still mean is you're a unique human and you got your own unique perspective on the way that you view certain things. And then guess what? The grand creator may have you experience something so that as you gather that experience and then you develop a ways of actually responding, it depends on whether it's good or bad, to actually gain it or turn into wisdom where you can help others. All right. Now, with that all being said, this is what I want to share with you. You see, sometimes maybe you were told this in your younger days or what have you, may still be young, that sometimes because of the way that you actually respect human beings, you really do believe in a certain protocol when you first meet human beings, whether it's a smile, whether it's a handshake, whether it's actually still some other type of a formal greeting of Mr., Miss, or Mrs., something, you see, where you may have that as part of the way when you first meet people. And you will continue to comport yourself in that way unless otherwise granted permission to do this or that. So you're actually not trying, or you wouldn't want to be presumptuous on anybody's space or boundaries. All right. Now, with that being said, sometimes you just don't know where you stand with a situation. And you may have tried many different ways of actually figuring out, even to the point of closure. You know, I believe strongly in communication in that way when it matters. So let's say that you cannot always get a clear-cut answer on this or that. What I would recommend to you, especially you professionals, you entrepreneurs who have gone around trying to get business and things of that nature, what I would recommend for 2024, if it really meant something to you, that I would write a letter. You can call it a final letter, even if you will. At least telling you or stating exactly what the offer was or what have you, and boom, you can send it off. It can be post dated, it can be time stamped, or what have you. But what that will do is still give you the closure you need to move on to something else. As they said, other pastures. I'm not going to say greener pastures. Why? Because what you may have made a proposition for was a green pasture. You see, was green land or what have you, but it just wasn't for you. But because you knew it was such a grapevine, a vineyard, a wonderful, even fine wine, as I like to use it, you see, you like to know. So you don't always have to go, oh man, if I would have, or could have, or what have you. Well, you know what? You gave yourself closure with that letter. And that's what I would encourage you perceptive readers do. Give yourself a closure on something that if it meant a lot to you, you'll sleep better at night. And what I mean by sleep better at night is as you move on to something else, to another pasture or a vineyard or what have you, then you at least left the owner, if you will, the possessor of, if you will, of that other pasture that just, things just didn't really work out, with, once again, a very good feeling. Now, here is something else that I want to add with you, and I'm glad I get to share this with you at the end of the year for resolutions, because I am going to share something with you that this goes along again along the lines of sometimes you can give a person or persons even more credit at times because you realize their background, you realize their IQ in any field or area, that you can still actually give persons more credit or knowledge that they know something that they really don't know, because you've seen them exercise their wisdom in so many other areas. And yet, I want to assure you, see, just because a person doesn't know, once you find out that they doesn't know it, uh, then it doesn't mean that they're not capable of knowing it, you see? So it goes along with, I used to talk about being in a classroom conducive to learning, the conducive environment, where it still actually has the same way with the way that we communicate with people, you see. We want a way of communication that will actually approach the person in the direct way that they need to be approached. Now, what do I mean by that? There's actually been persons, and you would appreciate this. See, it's almost like the higher up you go in different responsibilities and positions, you see, hey, it really is, it turns into a hierarchical a structure, just really out of necessity sometimes for the person to really be able to keep their sanity. Now, what I mean by that is, further, I use the example sometimes of Moses. Moses was over the nation of Israel. God used him to perform miracles and lead them, you see, into their freedom through the Red Sea. However, see, people had so much respect for Moses as the final authority or judge on matters that, don't you know, he spent from sunrise to sunset, and, probably later than that, always hearing cases. And so you can just imagine, even with all the wisdom to resolve something very quickly, you think along the lines of King Solomon, how quick he was able to resolve an issue that would have baffled everybody else between those two women, that, over the child, that even if he could resolve cases like within minutes every single time, tough cases, he was still listening to people all throughout the day. And it finally actually got to the point where there were others, you see, that came, with the suggestion, I think it was his brother-in-law, that this is how you could distribute the load, you see. And so Moses only had to hear the toughest cases that nobody else could actually, resolve, because there was actually 3 or 4 levels, from the tens, hundreds, was it thousands, um, of the tribes. I would have to look that up. But the whole point is, if it finally ended up, getting to Moses, you knew this was something that all those other qualified judges, even under him, just couldn't deal with it. So, with that being said, this is what I still want to share with you. See, sometimes persons, and this is in different occupations. I'm not talking just judicially. I'm actually, or government wise, I'm actually talking about everyday running of companies, human resources, and then who they have to deal with other third party companies at times, in interaction with employees. So it can actually be, and even countries. And so you can actually have a situation where you've paid an agency, and I want to say a credible agency still, to contact someone who may be on another tier level in another section, of a state or what have you, or country. And you may have said, you contact this person. You contact this person. You make it clear you're representing me in this area or what have you. Let's say it was me. Okay, let's say, pretend for a moment. Let's just say I'm over a corporation or something. Let's just say that. Okay. Now, I'm over a corporation. I have to deal with normally just the VPs mostly or what have you. But let's say there was a talent, a skill set that I know of somebody. But this talent this skill set is just not in my building. You see, it's not even on the directory that normally, the type of VPs and the vice president gets. You see, it's not that simple. So let's say I go to my administrative assistant. You see, my secretary, and I can say, well, that person is way over there in another branch altogether that still has done business with us quite a bit. In a situation I'm in, I just can't call that person directly. You see, would love to, but see, the point is, it's just wisdom sometimes to really go ahead, and sometimes you pass it off to somebody else, like you said, your administrative assistant, and then your administrative assistant will use their connections and everything else to relate clearly and directly what institution, what organization, or what have you they're really representing. No BS. No BS. And the reason why I want to emphasize about the BS point, because this has truly happened. And this is why I'm telling you this, because I don't even think some of these higher ups truly know at times where the breakdown in communication happened and exactly why it happened. And I'm going to state right now for the record possibilities on exactly what happened. Why? Because somewhere through the line of communications and connections, there was a saboteur. And the saboteur not only did not relate the information clearly, they made it look almost like it was still something that they were representing elsewhere. Somewhere else they were representing elsewhere. Why? Because they were already stealing that connection. They were working on stealing that connection, that feedback. So in one hand, let's say, I want to use this expression, and I hope you don't mind, but let's say this great king in another land who just gave a very nice, peaceful greeting for the holiday season for many persons who were observing it. He did a nice job with it. But let's say this great king ended up talking to his secretary, his subject, to go talk to this other person. I know I jumped for me, but I want to use this because it cracks me up. And by the time the message gets to the person that he want to talk to, instead of they saying, yeah, this is coming from this king over Europe, now they're saying, hey, you know, that gang leader down the street at the mom and pop store is interested in your services. You see, that's how muddy and messed up some communications have gotten. And the thing about it is, all the great king maybe found out is, oh, well, I guess they just had something better. They just happy with their life because it wasn't some command. It was just, just thought they might enjoy this. See, that's what I'm here to tell you. This is the way some of this relaying of information has happened. So, now you know. Now you know. Resumes, proper credentials, etc. was just not related correctly. Got lost somehow. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because it still goes along with you as to having closure for the year 2023. Maybe there were some pastures, some green pastures that you had over the years that you looked over or what have you, and you just never could either really purchase that land, or make a trade or barter or what have you. Well, you could write a nice letter, state what it was, and then guess what? Even if you get no response at all, you take your closure and you go and find, yes, that green pasture that I'm sure is waiting for you. This was a James Poole Street Consulting moment. Have a wonderful day. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.